is something that cannot be found anywhere else. Could someone tell me what that is? Zamzam. Water that is from the heavens. Water that is pure, that will never go bad. Research has been done on it. Water which comes out from such a depth that is bubbling. Its depth of it goes so down in the earth, it's not even 3-4 feet as a reservoir of that water, and it's bubbling. And every time they took out the buckets, they could not find how it was coming. A Japanese researcher, I believe his name was a scientist, Masaru Emoto, did a very in-depth study. He used nanotechnology and he researched Zamzam water. And I'll just say one thing. He said that Zamzam water was so potent that if you mix 1 drop of Zamzam into 1,000 drops of regular water, it would change the quality of the regular water into Zamzam. This water has all the electrolytes, all the things that you need. It has healing for all ailments. It refreshes your soul and your body. It is food and water in one. Allah is calling you. Drink Zamzam till you can't breathe anymore. Keep drinking that water. Fill your stomachs up with that water. Allah is inviting you towards this. In reference to the virtues of Makkah and Medina, I would now turn over to Mufti Wasim. That now we understand that we are going to Hajj inshaAllah when we do, not with a mandatory mindset or a memorable mindset, but meaningful mindset. We're going to see Allah because He's invited us. He's our host. His house is the venue. The time is in the Hijjah. And the menu is this blessed water. What do you see?
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. أما بعد. Imam Azhar, mashallah, covered the important facts and the important points. And just to add on to a few thoughts before the break, inshallah. Imam Azhar mentioned about our mizaj, our persona, what we're going to get when we go to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I commonly tell people that out of all the fada'il and the virtues of going to Hajj and Umrah, the best thing that you can attain from there is the ishq of Allah and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That a person begins to love Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and deeply love Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Makkah, Medina hold their unique benefits. However, in the next few minutes, inshallah, I will just walk you through some of those virtues, at the same time building your mentality and philosophy of how you should be approaching and looking at everything in Makkah Mukarramah and Madinatul Munawwarah. How many of us here are going for Hajj, inshallah? Most of us, mashallah. How many are doing Medina first? Most? And Makkah first? A few are doing Makkah first, and the most are doing Medina first. So I will start with Medina based on that, inshallah. Medina is a unique city of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in one hadith said, a person when they are buried, the dirt that was used to create them is the very dirt that they are buried in. So when a person is buried in XYZ place, then the area that they were buried in, that was the very dirt utilized by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to create that individual. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, though born in Makkah, he passed away in Madinatul Munawwarah. And you can travel the globe and you will see graves of Adam alayhi salatu was salam You will see graves of Hawa alayhi salam. You will see graves of Habil, Nuh alayhi salam in Jordan, Musa alayhi salam in Palestine, Ibrahim alayhi salam in Khalil, Shu'aib alayhi salam in Madian. These are graves that are there till today. Yunus alayhi salam in Nineveh. My car was getting towed the other day. And as my car was getting towed, there was a brother who sat inside my car. And I noticed from his accent he was a Muslim. He actually lives very near to the masjid. And I began talking to the brother, where are you from? This, that. He said, I'm from Iraq. I said, MashaAllah, where in Iraq? He said, I'm from Nineveh. I said, that's the place where Nabi Yunus alayhi salam is from. He said, yes. I used to go to the masjid and pray in that area almost on a daily basis. And I said, MashaAllah, brother, I said, do you attend any of the programs or any of the events at the masjid? He said, no, unfortunately, I don't. I said, where do you usually pray Jum'ah? He said, I've only prayed one Jum'ah. I said, how long have you been here? He said, I've been here for 9 years. A person needs to come every single day. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rectify our state and keep Iman deep rooted in our hearts. You'll find graves of Anbiya alayhim salatu wassalam all over the world. But there is consensus amongst the ulama that there is no guarantee of any prophet's grave, that a prophet is in that grave besides Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Everything else has a level of speculation besides the grave of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is unanimously agreed that where he is buried, that's where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in another hadith says, "Inna Allah harrama ala al-ardi ajsad al-anbiya," that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbade upon the earth that the bodies of the prophets disintegrate. And Allah has also forbidden upon the earth to disintegrate the bodies of shuhada and martyrs. And there are some individuals that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through His bounty does not allow their flesh to decay. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is amongst these individuals. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in one very famous hadith said, Al-Madinatu ma bayna al-'ayr wa-thawr. Medina Munawwara, the boundaries of Medina. Where do you know Medina starts from? The boundaries of Medina is from Eid. There is a mountain called Eid, and there's a mountain called Thawr. And both of these mountains, between this is where Madinatul Munawwara is considered. Now, the boundaries they extend quite far, all the way to Miqat, where you make your ihram and you put your, and the Imam will inshallah go into details about that. The Miqat, the boundaries reach all the way till there. So it's a pretty decent sized area. However, in the life of Rasulullah ﷺ, the city of Madinatul Munawwara was only where the gated area is. So now that you see present day, when you go to the masjid and you walk and you enter the outer gate of the masjid, and then you get onto the marbles, and then in front of it is the masjid structure itself. So where the gate circles or squares around the entire vicinity, that was actually the entire city of Medina in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes, there were Banu Salama and the other tribes that were in the outskirts, and they had their little area and they had small little musallas in that area. However, the city, which is considered the balad, the city of Madinatul Munawwara, existed only into that confined area. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he made a lot of dua, not only for Medina, but the people of Madinatul Munawwara. As for Madina Munawwara, the Prophet ﷺ says, and the ahadith, they vary. In one hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says, the one who prays in Madinatul Munawwara, his salah will be multiplied 10,000 times. In another hadith, 15,000. Another hadith, 30,000. And different numbers are given. Imam Malik and majority of the ulama, they agree that praying salah in Mecca, the reward is multiplied 100,000 times. However, in Medina, it's either 10, 15, 30,000 times. It is my understanding that it is based on the love and the ishq the person has of Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that Allah gives them more reward based on their love. And maybe this is why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned different numbers in the ahadith. So now, Makkah Mukarramah is considered generally by most scholars to be the most virtuous and valuable real estate on earth. However, there is one consensus. That, before I mention the consensus, there is one disagreement to this. The rule is that Makkah is far more superior than Madinah al-Munawwara. Majority of the scholars agree to this. However, Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayhi disagrees with this. Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayhi says Madinah al-Munawwara is superior than Makkah. And he has a evidence. And his evidence is the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that, Ya Allah, Ibrahim was your Khalil. And he asked you to dua for Makkah. I am your Habib and I'm asking you, and I'm doing dua for Madinah Munawwara. Whatever he asked you for Makkah, double it for Madinah. Allahumma barik fi sa'ina wa fi muddina. May Allah put barakat in our measurements, put barakah in our trade, put barakah in our business, put barakah in our food. So Imam Malik rahmatullah alayhi, based on this hadith, says that Ibrahim alayhi salam did dua for Makkah, and the value of Makkah raised to 100,000 with the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam came and said that, Ya Allah, double the du'as of Ibrahim that he has done for Makkah for Medina. Therefore, according to Imam Malik, praying Salah in Madinah al-Munawwara is 200,000 times. And he has another evidence, and that is that the Prophet ﷺ said that Salatun fi Masjid al-Haram, that the Salah in Masjid al-Haram is 100,000 times more illa masjidi hada. In one narration it comes, besides in this masjid of mine. So there are different variations. However, majority of the scholars agree that Makkah holds a superior real estate than Madinah al-Munawwara. Imam Malik feels that Medina has a superior real estate than Makkah. There is a subtle difference though. Both of the ulama, regardless of who considers Makkah superior and who considers Medina superior, they are unanimous on one point, that the buq'ah, that the land, that the piece of earth, that the dirt that is touching the body of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this is a position that there is no disagreement upon. This is a position that every scholar of the past has agreed upon this position, regardless of what background you come from. Everyone has agreed to this. I mentioned to you earlier that when a person passes away, that dirt was used to create them. Am I right or wrong? So that means that the Prophet ﷺ, the dirt that was used to create the Prophet was where? Medina. Is the Prophet ﷺ a creation of Allah? Is he the greatest creation of Allah? Khayr khalqillah, right? Greatest creation. Is the arsh, the throne, a creation of Allah? Between the two, who is more valuable? Rasulullah ﷺ or the throne? We just established he's the khayra khalqillah. He's the greatest creation of Allah. Allah is not needed to sit on the throne. It's not his need to have a throne. It isn't his burur or hajj. It's a symbol of his splendor. The Prophet ﷺ is khayra khalqillah. Out of all the creation of Allah, he's superior than anything and anyone that Allah has created. يا صاحب الجمال يا سيد البشر بوجهك الجميل لقد نور القمر لا يمكن الثناء كما كان حقه بعد أسخدا بزرقته قصة مختصر. The poet says, يا صاحب الجمال يا سيد البشر, O beautiful individual, O leader of mankind, بنور وجهك المنير لقد نور القمر, that through the beauty of your face even the moon takes its light. لا يمكن الثناء كما كان حقه. It's not possible to praise you. The simple absolute, the simple rule is بعد أسخدا بزرقته قصة مختصر, that after Allah قل أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول, then your maqam comes after that. This is sufficient to say what your maqam is into this world, for this ummah. So the area that is where the Prophet ﷺ is buried is far more superior than even the throne. Why? It's because both are creations. And the Prophet ﷺ is the more better creation because Allah deemed him that. The Prophet ﷺ says, أَنَا سَيِّدُ وُلْدِ آدَمْ وَلَا فَخَرْ. I am the greatest and I'm the leader of all the children of Adam. And I don't have pride in this fact. The كُنْتُ نَبِيًّا وَآدَمْ بَيْنَ الْمَاءِ وَالطِّينِ. The Prophet ﷺ says in another hadith that my nabuwah was established when Adam was still getting made. At that time my nabuwah was established. And the discussion is very long on this point. I'm trying to show you how valuable is the land that you're going to be landing in. The status of that land. On the grave of Musa alayhi salam, it used to be written, لو نلت يا ريح الصبا إلى أرض الحرم بل للسلام روضة فيها النبي المحترم صلى الله عليه وسلم. There used to be a poem written there which said that Masjid al-Aqsa was in the north side. Now Musa alayhi salam probably never said this, but it was a poem written, and maybe that Allah knows best. So Masjid al-Aqsa is in the north and Medina is in the south. And the southern wind is called Sabah. Rih al-Sabah. It's the southern wind. So it blows from the morning into the south side. So the poet says, "O wind, you are leaving me and you are traveling in the south. You will unintentionally cross over Madinatul Munawwara. When you get there, send my salam to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for the Nabi of Allah is over there." The value of the land, the value of the city itself. Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayhi, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in one hadith said that a time will come when there will be such a scholars in my community, in the ummah, that will not even take a conveyance. They will not even get on a ride in Madinatul Munawwara, because they don't want to be higher than the grave of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayhi, his entire time in Medina, entire time. Today we are driving, it is a bit hot outside, and every one of us felt the heat. But this heat is a drop compared to the heat of Madinatul Munawwara. It is a drop compared to the heat at Dhuhr time in Madinatul Munawwara. And their shoes were not like our shoes. And their socks were not like our socks. And their clothes were not breathable like our clothes. And imagine in that stand, sitting here, we have fans running, air conditioned. If you turn off these fans and you turn off this air condition for a few minutes, I promise you most of us cannot handle it and will start to become uncomfortable. Imam Malik rahmatullah alayhi dedicated almost 80 years of his life in Madinatul Munawwara, and he spent his time there, and he never got on a ride, whether it was going home or leaving outside of the bounds of Medina. Then how can I disrespect the land of my Habib sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi comes about him. He comes to Madina Munawwara from Kufa after his Hajj, and flocks of people came to him, and they came in front of him and they said, "Shaykh," and they asked him masail, and they spoke to him and they learned from him. Next day the Shaykh said, "Okay, I have to go." They said, "You've only been here for a day, stay a few more days." He said, "Okay." Second day happens, third day. He says, "Now I have to go." They pressured him more, and they said, "No, please stay at 4 days, 5 days, 6 days." He said, "No, I cannot handle it. I need to leave now." They said, "Why are you leaving? You just came for such a short time." He says, "As I am in the vicinity of the city of Habib sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it does not agree with me that I have to use the call of nature, that I use it in the city of Habib sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I pollute it with my pollution in the city of Habib. I am already pollution. What will I do if I come and I put more pollution? Therefore I need to leave Medina to at least relieve myself, and then I can come back." This is the adab and the etiquette and the manner that they had for every stone of Madinatul Munawwara. That this was the land that the Prophet ﷺ guaranteed your feet will fall into a place where the Prophet of Allah ﷺ put one step. Guaranteed. In this journey of yours, we always have a life of walking into the footsteps of the Prophet. In this journey of yours, insha'Allah, bi'idhnillah, you will put your foot in a piece of land where the Prophet ﷺ put his foot. Not only that, where the Anbiya did, the Sahaba did. And just transport yourself back in time. When I walk around Madinatul Munawwara, I transport myself back in time. And I remember the days of Uhud. And how the Prophet must have been walking around. And the Sahaba worried that are we going to even survive after a week? Because you can see Uhud straight from as you exit the masjid. Are we going to even survive? And little did they know. Little did the same Umar and Abu Bakr and Uthman and Ali radiallahu anhum know that not only are they going to survive this, but 14 centuries later, across 2 continents, on a 3rd continent, across 2 oceans and numerous seas, parents will have children. And their desire will be to name their children after these people. And it just blows your mind away. It just blows you away. Feel the seerah. Read the seerah. Most of you are leaving for Hajj next week. You can easily finish the seerah in 1 week. You can't feel Medina. You know when you go to Makkah, you can feel Makkah. Because of the Kaaba there. Most Hajis, and Imam, correct me if I'm wrong, they struggle to have that spirituality in Medina. Because they can't visualize the Kaaba the way they can at the Rawdah. That is why Medina purely is on your attraction and attachment to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, when you are in that area, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said a few other bounties about Medina. The first thing he said was how much multiple reward you get. The second thing the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever can, let them pass away in Madinatul Munawwarah. To pass away and the desire to live and die in Medina is a command of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because I want to die in an area which I love. And now why do I love Medina? أمر على الديار ديار ليلى أقبل ذا الجدار وذا الجدار وما حب الديار شغفنا قلبي ولكن حب من سكن الديار. This famous poet Imam al-Qais says about his beloved Layla. You all know Layla and Majnun? Yes? No? It's Romeo and Juliet, the Arab version. I was telling some of the students the other day the story of how Layla and Majnun and the concepts of, this Aladdin movie came out that said Aladdin is actually Alauddin, and Jasmine is Yasmin, and Genie is Jinni. And they were not grasping those concepts, and I explained to them how in Alfa Layla wa Layla, the story of the famous book Alfa wa Layla wa Layla. And then in the test I asked them, tell me something you remember from class, and one of the students wrote that Aladdin is actually real, then Jasmine is actually real. I said, you know what, I think I messed up on that point. So Imam al-Qais and Layla is their version of Romeo and Juliet. Imam al-Qais, or Majnun as you know him, he goes into a town where Layla once lived in. And he begins touching the walls and kissing the floor. Now let me hold on to this for a second and go one step back. When you love someone, what's the first thing you do? If I love someone affectionately, what's the first thing I do? Prove it. Think about them all the time. But just by thinking about them, are they going to love you back? What do you have to do? Send them a text. Uncle's got game, mashallah. You have to tell them, I love you. You have to tell them. Okay, after you send the text of, don't start with the text of I love you. And plus, all of you seem married. So don't go back and start texting the Mufti was in Dars today to send I love you text. After you say I love you, or you express your muhabba and attraction to someone, that I really like you, the second thing is you begin talking to them, right? The expression of love is the kalima. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. And then as you begin talking to your beloved, the next step is salah. You talk to Allah 5 times a day. Then after that, you say, you know what? Let's eat together. And this is so. Ya Allah, when you tell me to eat, I'll eat. When you don't tell me to eat, I won't eat. And then now as the ishq and the love is getting more and more, you get to the 4th level, which is you start buying things for your beloved. Damri jai, damri na jai, as they say. That money is the last thing that will leave our hearts. But when you love someone, then that money becomes insignificant. And you start buying, this is zakat, that you spend for Allah's sake. And finally, when you have passed through the stages and the levels of love, and the stations of muhabba, the final station is that the mahbub tells the habib, come over to my house. And this is the Hajj. This is Allah's invitation. So now one individual, he was doing tawaf around the Kaaba, and he began kissing the Kaaba and holding it. And someone came and they said to him, wait, why are you touching and kissing the Kaaba? This is just stones, it matters nothing. And then he quoted the story that I was quoting to you. And Imam al-Qais enters Layla's town. He begins kissing the floor, kissing the wall, kissing the dog. And someone said, what are you doing? He said, this is not Layla. So you were in love with Layla. He said, Amurru ala diyari Layla. He said, I'm going through the town, and this town is the town of Layla. أقبل ذا الجدار وذا الجدار. I kiss this wall and that wall. وما حب الديار شغفنا قلبي. It isn't the love of this town. I don't care about the town. ولكن حب من سكن الديار. But this is my Layla's town. Makkah, Medina is just towns. But they have the nisbah to Allah and His Messenger. Now every stone in that town is beloved. One of the scholars was sitting down and someone brought him, those male hijabs, the red and white ones. Saudi Arabia believes in equality. The women wear hijab and the men wear hijab. Or they used to until this new festival came out. When someone over there starts shooting at me with the biddat gun, the first thing I do is I call out the hijab, the male hijab. Anyway. In that city, someone brought that scarf and gave it to the sheikh. The sheikh grabbed it, wiped it over his face, kissed it, honored it, venerated it. And someone said, Sheikh, not to kind of just throw you off there for a second, but that's made in China, right? It's not really made in Medina. He said, yes, I know it's made in China. However, the wind of Medina passed over it. The wind of Medina has grazed over this. From the dirt of Baqir, it has flown onto this. I tell people all the time, if you want the ishq of Allah and His Messenger to enter your children and family's heart, bring back the love of going for Hajj and Umrah. Today we want to retire everywhere. There's no desire to retire in Medina. Marna, in South Africa there's a culture. They've opened their restaurants there. Families move. After they're 35, 40 years old, 45, they leave Medina, they leave their homes, and they have been there for hundreds of years in South Africa. They leave it, they go to Medina, they do a hijrah there. And they remain there with the hope that, Ya Allah, give me death in Medina. Gar Madine ki mitti tujhe mil gayi, fir qismat teri wasim khul gayi. If you can just get the dirt of Medina, Taiba kinaro mein, in the city of Habib sallallahu alaihi wasallam, being buried in Jannat al-Baqir in a graveyard full of 10,000 Sahaba, the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, besides two, the children of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the family, the Sahaba, the great veterans of Badr and Uhud and Tabuk and Khandaq and Hunayn, all buried over there, the Muhajirin and the Ansar. And to be part of the same dirt that was once part of the greatest people after the Anbiya alayhi wassalam. This desire has escaped us. This want has escaped us. Anyway. With the place that when a person is doing tawaf around the haram, and that love and that veneration they have for that city, it's only because of its nisbah to Allah. And the same thing is with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is why a book I recommend, a very brief book, but you will be able to cover the entire seerah in the next week, is Ar-Rahiq al-Makhtum, the sealed nectar. It's very easy, you can find it online. Generally speaking, everything in the book is correct. Most of the stuff. A few mistakes he's made here and there, but most of it's correct.
The sealed nectar?
You can get a PDF of it as well. It's available in our library as well. And I also advise people to have a regiment of at least one book for Hajj, Azhar, Salah, and Quran. So when you're going to wait a lot in Hajj, and during those wait times, you can complete these tasks. We tell people very commonly, bus hamare bus mein nahi hai. Right? We have no control over the buses. They come on their own time. It's the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're like horses and donkeys. They come when they desire to come, and when there is room for them to come. Otherwise, have a regiment for yourself. Go with the state and the mentality that every moment you need something to do. So you have things backed up While everyone else is getting frustrated, you're not frustrated. Because you have things to do. And every delay is a ni'mah for you. It's because you can complete your regiment now. You can read your book now. So going back to the city of Habib sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that's the second thing. The third thing at the city of Habib sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ma bayna bayti wa minbari rawdatun min riyadil jannah." That the area between myself and my grave is spray time right now, right?
Just finish off this and you do Makkah. One thing about Makkah.
Ma bayna bayti wa minbari rawdatun min riyadil jannah. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the area between my minbar, my pulpit, and my house. The house is where the Prophet ﷺ is buried in. It is a garden from the gardens of Jannah. Rawdatun min riyadil jannah. Now what does this mean? Number one, it means that either there's few opinions. Number one, that it was a piece of Jannah that Allah brought it down to earth. And that is why, I'll mention Qadi Tayyib's comment at the end. That's the first thing. The second thing is that that land will be taken into Jannah. Number three, the people in that area that have entered that area do dua to Allah, they are the people of Jannah. Number four, the actions committed in that area are the actions of the people of Jannah. Number five, that is the place where people ask for Jannah. Number six, that is the place where people, though they are stuck together and there so many are there, they are at peace while they are in that land, because the same way Jannah gives peace, that place gives peace as well. There are multiple opinions on this. Qadi Tayyib rahmatullahi alayhi used to say something very thought-provoking. He used to say that when a person enters Jannah, Riyadh al-Jannah, they should make dua. That, Ya Allah, you made a promise that once someone enters Jannah, you won't remove them. And Allah, we've entered Jannah. Allah, we came in Jannah. Your Nabi called this Jannah. Say, Allah, we've taken a step in here. Don't make us mahroom of it in the hereafter. Last point before I say one thing about Makkah. Someone said that in Medina there's everything. In Medina, there's everything in Medina. There's even a Jannah in Medina. Lekin Jannah mein koi Medina nahi hai. Medina is so unique that even Jannah is in Medina. But that unique quality only exists in Madinatul Munawwarah. To show the value of it. Obviously Jannah is Jannah in its own capacity. But maqam of Medina is still Medina. The water of Jannah is amazing. Kawthar is amazing. But it doesn't become more superior than Zamzam water. The water of Jannah is not superior than Zamzam. The three most superior waters. What's the most superior water?
Zamzam, Nile.
No. Zamzam isn't the most superior water. No.
Euphrates?
Ibn Najib Misri rahimahullah writes in Al-Bahr al-Ra'iq. This is one of his riddles. He says, what is the most valuable water and the greatest water Allah has created? It's not Zamzam. It's the water that gushed from the fingers of Rasulullah. Because the Prophet is khayra khalqillah. So anything that comes from him is also khayra khalqillah. If what he came from is khayra khalqillah, what comes from him is khayra khalqillah. Is the greatest creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Sahaba who drank the water that gushed from his fingers is the greatest. Then secondary is Zamzam water, because the Prophet's heart was washed with it. Had there been more better water, that would have been used. But the Prophet's heart at the time of Mi'raj and when he was a child was washed with Zamzam water. So there are elements, some things hold a superiority, as they call it juz'i fadila, a singular superiority. Bilal radiallahu anhu enters Jannah before Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. However, Abu Bakr is still more virtuous than Bilal radiallahu anhu. Right? These are called juz'i fadila. The small, everyone has their unique feature to it. As far as Makkah Mukarramah is concerned, there are Medina, only the salah you pray in the masjid, not in the courtyard, unless the Jamaat extends to the courtyard. The salah you pray inside the masjid gets multiplied in Medina. Only the prayer. In Makkah, in the entire city, where the boundaries of Haram exist, in the entire city, any good deed, not just salah, any good deed gets multiplied 100,000 times. At the same time, any sin you commit also gets multiplied 100,000 times. There are 4 levels of thought. The first one is when it comes into your mind and it escapes immediately. This is called hammun. You know that thought that comes in your mind? And a person, he comes in and says, I should do this. No, astaghfirullah, I shouldn't do this. This is called ham. The second is hajj, which is it comes in your mind and it sits for a little bit. I should do it. No, astaghfirullah, I shouldn't do it. The one that comes and immediately goes, this is called ham. The one that comes, stays a little bit, and then goes is called hajj. The third one is called irada, which is that a person is like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And then later on, they were going to do it, but then they decided themselves, you know what, it's not a good idea. They had firm intention to do it, but then they're thinking, this is called irada. And number 4 is called azam. Azam is, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to watch this movie, I'm going to watch this movie. You get to the theater's closed. So you couldn't do it because there was an external factor. And in irada, you didn't do it because there was an internal factor. The first 3 categories, ham, what was the other one? Hajj, and irada. These 3, you don't get sin for them. On the contrary, if you think of doing a bad deed and you don't do it, you get a good deed. وَمَنْ هَمَّ بِحَسَنَةٍ فَلَمْ يَعْمَلْهَا كَتَبَهَا اللَّهُ عِنْدَهُ حَسَنَةً كَامِلَةً. However, for azam, that you want to do it and then exterior factors didn't allow you to do it, in this scenario, you don't get, you do get the sin for it, even if you didn't do it. Because you were going to do it, external factors stopped you. Makkah is the only place in the world that the third category of irada, if you think of committing a sin and you plan on doing a sin, you even get the sin for it. وَمَنْ يُرِدْ بِإِلْحَادٍ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the one who even decides to, it's in the Quran, the one who decides to do a sin, نُذِقُ عَذَابًا أَلِيمًا, we will give them a painful punishment. That is why, at least in the haram, let this grow a little bit. All the other things, take a break in the haram. All those sins, all of this, take a break in a second. Sayyidina Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu anhu would be scared to be in Umar radiallahu anhu. The man who was said that لو كان النبي بعد لكان عمر بن الخطاب, had there been a Nabi, would have been Umar radiallahu anhu. Scared in Makkah. The Sahaba would fear to be in Makkah. You know why? They were scared that they would disobey and offend. And I will leave with the last comment. Not only is there fadila for the city, but there is fadila for the people of the city of Makkah and Medina. Ahl Medina and Ahl Makkah. There's fadila of those people as well. That is why, keep this quiet. We are not going there to rectify them. We're going to rectify ourselves. We're not going there to criticize and critique. The government should have done it like this, or the past should have done it like this, or the people were like this, or they were rude. That's not why we're there. We're there to fix ourselves. We're not there to fix them. We came this far for our Iman boot camp, not to fix them. There was a person who came and he entered Medina and he had some yogurt. And he said, the yogurt of Medina is bitter. The yogurt of Medina is bitter. That night he saw a dream of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, leave my city. He said, Ya Rasulullah, he said, I was happy when I saw you in my dream that I came to Medina and I saw the Prophet in my dream. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, you have a problem with our cities, objects? You have a problem with the things of our city? You came here to criticize this or to fix yourself? While you're over there, control this tongue. And constantly, while you're in Medina, recite salat on Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, Allahumma salli. And inshallah, bi'idhnillah, you will take back a love of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And I know it's lasted like 5-6 times already, but this is definitely lastly, inshallah. People always ask, what should I bring back from Hajj? Someone wants abaya, hijab. Someone wants this tasbih, that itr. And I tell people, Marana, they spent $8,000, $10,000 to save $10 on an itr. This is what we do. We spend $8,000, $10,000 to go do tawaf of Zamzam Mall and save $5 or $10. The greatest thing you can take back from Medina is the sunnah of Rasulullah. The greatest takeaway from your Hajj is that before my Hajj I did this, and after my Hajj I've taken something back with me, so that when I see it, I remember my Hajj. And when I see this action, I remember my Hajj, and it reminds me of where I was at a point in my life when I wanted to leave all evils and bad and become a better person. Forgive me for taking extra time. Jazakallah khair.
Brothers and sisters, we have a 4-minute break where you can maybe just drink some water, stretch your legs. We're going to enter at 3:45 to our second phase of discussion, which is packing, physical preparation, spiritual preparation, and mental preparation, inshallah. So do stretch your legs, get some space, inshallah, and we'll continue our quest, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
Physical community and daily produce of
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah. Imam Malik.
If something has not been described or done by the Prophet or this, then rest everything is a If they have not, it is a fact. Every part, every part is why they so if they have not, they would be more serious. Everything is right. मेरे टाइम मेरे साथ क्या So this is one thing. I have a couple of umrahs for my Hajj. So I'm very nervous about the rituals of that period. Because I read something and it said like you need to carry 49 stones from Muzdalifah and really that's a count or you have to be very specific on that. What if I do, what you were looking by mistake and we got to know about so those are the things I want to focus on the exact issues. So you know,
That's the third step. Once you do the preparation, we go to the physical concept.
I just want to make sure
No.
I'm not missing that.
No. That's the main part of the exercise. Munir applied for Miami? With the Airlink. So,
is he economy or VIP?
well, he joined forces with Delta and bought him up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Airlink. Yes. He's probably for the small number. That's a package.
I think good. मेरा cousin वहाँ रहता था वो I think you're from Denver too, right?
No.
So मेरा cousin फोन आउट जेल में रहता है.
Sure. So Munir Bhai is now part of the Dar Islam.
No, आप बरसात जा रहे हैं.
हमारा ना होता है, लेकिन he is
आप
basically
करने का पहले.
it starts at 6, 7, but our package is for this community sign. And that's 700. Yes.
ये आपका चार्ट हाउस जानते हैं? जो
Orlando में था वो भी
महमूद भाई, right? महमूद भाई?
Yeah.
travel agency.
अगर तो चार्ट हाउस है ना वो अपना बता के साथ में. अच्छा. That's like the best desi food in Orlando. सबसे गंदा और सबसे अच्छा. इतना गंदा.
यार तो जब उनके रेस्टोरेंट पर गया आप शायद वहाँ से नहीं होंगे जब उनके रेस्टोरेंट
वो तो
एक आदमी
एक ही था. Or it's opposite. That was like a main road. Yeah. It's empty.
हम रात में वहाँ 2-3 बजे तक वहीं बैठे थे पानी को देखते हुए फिर वहाँ से वापस रात में 2-3 बजे वापस वापस चले गए. So we couple of families so what they go Tampa or
Clear water.
ये आप कितना चीजें हैं?
मुझे 25 साल में
वीसा तो ऑर्लैंडो के बाद कहाँ गया? वीसा में कितना लगे?
He was born that way.
शायद वही थी
फारूक मदरसे इस्लामी एक और जामे मस्जिद की
मतलब 390s की बात
काफी मजा आई
वो एक बास्केटबॉल प्लेयर वाले ने बनाई बास्केटबॉल वाले.
Brothers and sisters, inshallah, we could come back into the masjid. We'll continue, inshallah. मैं पहले को लेकर रहा हूँ ग्रुप 2 तारीख को लेकर इंशाल्लाह. पहले दुबई जा रहा हूँ फिर वहाँ से फिर ग्रुप के साथ मिल जाए इंशाल्लाह.
और 3 से पहले कहाँ जाते हैं?
मैं तो बहुत जाता हूँ लंदन जा रहा हूँ संतोष
ये तो आप करके जाएंगे ये तो आपका प्रैक्टिस करके
I don't really do much lectures and stuff. I just do the physical marathon.
मुझे बोले संबोधन में
Yeah, no, see, बहुत normal होता है. इस्तांबुल ऐसा जगह पे
इंशाल्लाह. That's good, you guys. Inshallah. Jazakallah khair Mufti, inshallah. We're going to continue now, brothers and sisters. Part 2 of our seminar is to talk about preparation. Now we talked about spirituality. Spirituality would even touch the tip of the iceberg here because there's so much in spirituality. Spirituality is something that we are pursuing. It is something that we have to be focused on. We have to have a game plan in place, and we have to manage our time accordingly so that inshallah we can gain the ultimate benefit and the utmost benefit from this journey. So that being said, inshallah, we're going to go into preparation. Number 1, we're going to start with physical preparation. So there are three types of preparation. Each angle of preparation may have different branches. Physical consists of your body, and it consists of your belongings. Everyone's with me? Physical, body, belongings. Next one is spirituality. What you do, what you will do. And then we'll talk about mental preparation at the end. So brothers and sisters, alhamdulillah, Hajj has come a long way. From the stories we heard from our great-grandmother when they left from Kenya and they traveled to Hajj and came back, those 10, 11 months journeys are now a thing of the past. You won't hear those. The only thing you will hear is we have a group of Hujjaj who annually bike from London to Hajj. They were in Istanbul last week, met with Urdugan, and now they're moving on. They have a van also, where of course they retreat to sleep, whatever else, but they are biking to Hajj. You may find some people who still from Pakistan, they go on the boat, or from Egypt actually, they go on the boat. Until this day, only a few handful of boats, meaning ships, come to the port of Jeddah, where Hujjaj still travel on boat. A great chunk of that handful are from Egypt. They come via ship. The rest of the people, mashallah, travel by vehicles, they travel by planes. Air travel has now become the norm, even if you're from Oman or Dubai or Yemen or wherever else, people travel by air. So, that being said, regardless of what type of group you've signed up with, what the package consists of, if the hotel is in front of the haram or the hotel is blocked down from the haram, Hajj entails physical strain. Hajj is never going to be easy. And I'll tell you why. Because as the accommodations for Hajj get better, the sensitivities of human nature is getting worse. So if we're in an elevator and it's not conducive, we'll complain. It's too tight or it's too hot. Human body, human sensitivity has become a problem. Every small thing bothers us. And so it's imperative that you go now with this mentality. I don't care if you're traveling business class, first class, Emirates, Turkish, going directly or through 10 countries. Hajj is Hajj. Hajj entails strain and difficulty. Now let me clearly define this for you, please. And I'm not marketing here. Difficulty means you have to walk. Difficulty means you'll have to wait. Difficulty means that somehow there'll be delays. Difficulty means you might have to be in the heat. Okay? But that difficulty should not be translated as your hotel wasn't booked, your bus wasn't reserved, the tent wasn't prepared, the food wasn't ordered. Okay? I want you all to understand that sometimes people use the virtues of Hajj and the advice given in Hajj for their personal gains. No, just sleep anywhere. This is Hajj. Allah will accept. This is Hajj. No, make sure you understand clearly what your package is giving you. And if they're going to give you a sleeping bag and you're going to sleep on the sand, so be it. That's what you're prepared for. It requires preparation. I want us all to understand that our bodies are the most important tool in our Hajj. Gone are the days where the people who were 70, 80, 90 years old, their bones were strong, their stamina was there, their endurance, their ability to move. Those days are gone. Today a 30, 40-year-old person, you ask them, they'll have a blister on their foot and say, oh, my Crocs have really messed my foot up. I need to go to a hospital. Like, we're super sensitive. And you'll see an old man hunchback walking with speed with a wooden cane that they've made themselves. There's, as I said, sensitivity level has changed. So I think Dallas is the best climate right now to prepare for Hajj. This 11, 12, 1 o'clock heat is maybe a bit more hotter in Mecca. Actually, as Mufti Sahib said, Medina is actually hotter than Mecca for some reason. 112 plus body temperature because you're so close to each other. So, you put the 112, 112, it becomes 224 because there's so many. It's just so crazy. There's so many people together. So for that number one, brothers and sisters, hydration. Write that down. Drink, 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 and drink. And one more time, drink. And if you forgot what I said drink. No soft drinks. Okay, let me tell you one thing about this. Drink as much fluid, water as you can. Keep yourself hydrated as much as possible. Let's start that from right now. The biggest thing that the Egyptian Health Ministry, the British Health Ministry, based on, because for you all that may not know, Hajj is a 24/7, 365 job. When it comes to preparation for Hajj, it's year long. And in seasons like this, they're working around the clock. Health ministries, over 12 to 20,000 physicians are flown in for Hajj. It is not a small operation. This Makkah and Medina, Jeddah, this operation is grand. And no one should equate Disney World or the Olympics with Hajj. Disney World's capacity in Magic Kingdom is 70,000. And if you're there when they have full capacity, it's the most miserable time of your life. They can't control 70,000. You go to Olympics, they get the Olympics 8 to 10 years beforehand. And it takes them all that time to prepare for those 3 weeks. Right? Hajj and Umrah is a continuous thing. And now they've even stopped stopping people. Before, between Ramadan and Hajj, there was a good 40, 45 days that no one was allowed, except for the locals, where they did construction, renovation, and so on and so forth. Now you can go for Umrah even after Ramadan. You could get a visa, go for Umrah. Because it's open 365 now. Because they need the business. But the thing is, it is an average number right now based on our studies. We're getting close to 20 million people in Mecca every year. 9 to 11 million come in Ramadan. Okay, in Mecca and Medina. And Hajj, and last year Hajj was 2.1 or 2.2. We're looking at maybe the same or maybe a little less. So truly the numbers that you're going to be with is not much. Alhamdulillah, with the grace of Allah, I've seen the days of 5-6 million people. It's tough. So your body has to be prepared. So hydration is number one, because the ministries of health said the biggest fear there is heat stroke. We have seen people walking, talking, and gone. Just fall like dominoes. So you need to drink from right now and hydrate yourself. Get a physical done. Make sure you have your medications that you need. Make sure everything's on par. Start walking in the mornings, in the evenings. Walk on your treadmill, walk outside. Walk for 30 minutes in the heat, drink up a lot, walk in the evening. Now is the time not to mess around. If you're not used to walking, even tawaf will not be done. So the people say, oh, what's the problem? You could rent a wheelchair and do the tawaf. You can't rent a wheelchair to go do the jamrat. You can't rent a wheelchair or hire someone to push you in Arafah. Brothers and sisters, you have to walk. And that's what I say to people. Go for Hajj early in your life. Don't delay it. It's not easy. Hajj truly isn't easy. Right now, for the next another 8 more years or 9 more years, Hajj will be in the peak heat of the season. Right now we're in August. Next year will be end of July, then end of July, then July, and maybe July, then June, and then June. And then from May we should start tapering off, which means upper 90s, low 100s. Right? It's hot. We're in the heat of the season. This is a hot time. So physical health means you start jogging, you start taking walks, you start drinking up, making sure that your health is good, making sure that you're exercising, and try to aim by the end of this week, brothers and sisters, to walk at least a mile. What we do in our Hajj, and this is a voluntary thing we do,